or maybe these folks are, they're about to enter a new stratosphere of wealth in a breakout year. What are some of the first steps they can be taking here to level up and getting this team synergy here? What do you think are some of the first steps they can do?
Well, I give you 3 first steps that they can do, right? The first is to take inventory of your professional team. Most people don't even consider at once who's on their professional team and who they take advice from. You got to identify where the gaps are before you figure out how you want to build your team, right? So maybe you're doing TurboTax. Maybe you have a CPA that you've had forever, that your parents had, that you just never graduated from. Maybe you have a financial advisor, right? But take stock of who's on your team. And to the extent that you want to work with those people, facilitate those introductions. Make sure that they know each other. Make sure that they're in communication. Facilitate those introductions. The second thing that I would say is that, speaking as a financial planner, the types of things we're talking about, your advisor should be talking to you about. Your advisor should be talking to you about how your business is structured, not just your CPA. Your advisor should be talking to you about a lot of the tax strategies that you just mentioned. Your advisor should not simply be talking about asset allocation and mutual funds and ETFs and your IRAs and your 401ks and your investment accounts. If that's all they're talking about, what you have is a money manager, not a financial planner. A financial planner's primary job is to teach you and give advice based on how every single piece of your financial life talks to each other. So if you really want to have planning and advice that's not product driven and you want to do the best you can with what you have, your advisor should talk that way. Your tax planner should talk that way, right? And they should proactively want to talk to each other. The other thing that I would say might sound somewhat counterintuitive. We should all be informed consumers and we should all do our research. But understand that when you go and do your own research, there's a lot of people with a lot of agendas out there, okay? There's a lot of companies and professionals that are selling a certain product, they're selling a certain service, they're selling a certain way of doing things. And you're going to find all sorts of emotional attitudes and opinions and predispositions around different professional advisors, around different products, around different strategies. And oftentimes that can be confusing because you might get information that's based on somebody's individual experience that isn't really an accurate mirror of what you need. You might get information from a source that's trying to sell you their particular product or service that's competitive with another one, and they might put that strategy, that type of advisor down. So when you do your own research, what you want to find is advisors that are agnostic. They don't have any emotional predispositions and attitudes about any product or service. They're collaborative in mindset. They're abundance-minded. The fees are clear. And be an informed consumer, but understand that you can read everything on WebMD. Doesn't make you a doctor, right?
Yep.
You need the right people to take that noise and distill it down into something that's actionable and meaningful for you. So as you become an informed consumer, definitely be informed, but understand that there's a massive benefit to having the right type of advisor that's truly holistically minded to now make that information actionable to you. And the benefits to you are immense, I promise you. We wouldn't be in business. You and I wouldn't be in business if those benefits weren't immense to our clients, right?
Yeah, you made a good point here about, like people using WebMD to diagnose their own sicknesses. And, it's great to self-educate as best you can. But then I think about it like, there's a lot of people misinforming on social media. They got some sexy 30-second clips or minute-long clips to drive attention. But that's all the clips are really – the only value the clips do is they drive attention to whatever influencer it is. It's just kind of like news. What news is really designed for is not really – it's kind of designed to educate, but it's more about – making your raise your eyebrows, get you angry, get you scared, and make you change the channel and watch their ads so they make more money. So there's always going to be a limit on how much if you're not a tax professional, you can gain from this public, information that's right in your face. Even my own guy, I have someone chopping up the clips of our podcast and our webinars. And I talk about things that I've done hundreds and thousands of times. And yes, I've dove deeply into the tax code. But when you take a 30-second or 60-second clip, or you don't understand and we don't have enough time to explain all of the other variables that are considered in these ideas and concepts, and the disadvantages and the exceptions to the exceptions. There's only so much you can use with this publicly available information. You got to go to the doctor and get your prescription. In the same way, you got to go straight to the expert and get a direct recommendation by who looks at your holistic situation.
That is what we do. That is perfectly said. And I think the age of information has been helpful, but it's also been a disadvantage to people for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned. And that's why who you work with and making sure that they are collaborative is so important. Because I said it once and I'll say it again. There's no possible way that I can know everything. You know, your advisor should want to engage your CPA. They should want to engage your business and your estate planning attorneys. They should want to engage the other professionals, because there's a lot of knowledge you have, Mark, in your years of doing this business that I just haven't spent as much time in because I'm in a different lane, right? So